Hi, and welcome to the module on statistical functions in Excel. Statistical functions in Excel are used to analyze large amounts of data, and the good news is they are the easiest functions to understand. So if you open your workbook called Statistical Functions, you'll notice there's a spreadsheet, the very first one at the bottom, called Median and Mode. So over here we have our list of employees once again, and we've got different types of statistical functions. The most common, in fact, which I haven't actually listed here, is our average function. So I'll just put another amount in here. I'm just going to format this so that it looks the same. But our average function is definitely the most common of all the statistical functions that we use regularly. And an average will give you an average of the data. Now there's two ways of doing an average function. You can either type the word average and then perform your function, or what you can do is you can use your auto sum on your home page and choose average, and in this case we're going to select the new salary data, and that will give us our average. But sometimes the average function can skew the data. In other words, it's not entirely accurate because you may have one person who maybe is earning an extremely low or extremely high salary. And this is where I like to use the median function. The median function, as you can see, let's just go back to the definition, returns the median or the number in the middle of the set of given numbers. So it won't average the data, but it'll look at the entire range of information and give you the middle number. So let's have a look at the median values for new salary. And you can see there is quite a difference in terms of our average and median. Another statistical function, I'm just going to quickly format that so it looks a little bit more professionally formatted, is our mode function. And what the mode function does is it gives you the most frequently appearing number. So if you have a look, the most frequently occurring or repetitive value in an array or range of data. So if I'd like to see how many employees, if we look at the job rating criteria, what is the most commonly occurring job rating? So I can select my job rating and push enter. So the most common job rating I've got is 4. The next statistical function we're going to look at, if you go to your rank sheet on the same workbook, is the rank function. And basically what the rank function does is it gives you a number based on a position in the data. So if we want to see the first highest salary, the second, the third, the top salesman, we can do that by sorting the data from A to Z, so we can see highest to lowest. But to actually create the rank, we then have to go and put in the numbers next to that, such as first, second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. So instead of putting all that effort in, we can just use the rank function. So you type in rank. There's also rank average, rank EQ. In this case, we're going to use the rank function, tab, and then you need to put in the number before you can put in the range of data you want to compare it to. So we're going to compare that salary with this particular reference. And now we can copy that function down. So this will now rank the data and tell me that that is the highest salary, that is the third highest salary, etc., etc. The next section to our statistical functions is on the sheet in the same workbook called large and small. Now this is not to be confused with the largest and smallest number. If we wanted to calculate the highest salary in that particular list, we would use a function called max. If we wanted to calculate the lowest salary in that particular list, we would use a function called min. Now to access those functions, you can either type them out or you can use your auto sum button on your home page. So for max, we can use the auto sum, and all of these occur as the most frequently occurring statistical functions in this list. You can then select the actual data that you want to work with and push enter. For min, I'm going to type this one out that's the lowest number. And just incidentally, Control, Shift, and the down arrow will also go to the bottom part of your data, so you don't have to scroll, and you select Enter. But there are two additional functions that we're going to look at. The one is called large, and the other one is called small. And basically this allows us to look for our second or third or fourth or fifth largest salary. So basically you get to choose which position, and it'll search that data and give you that position's largest value. And the same with the small function. So if, for example, I'm looking for the second largest salary, I'll choose my array, and then I get to specify the position, if it be 2 or 3 or 5 or even 100 if you want. And that'll tell me my second largest salary. The same with small. I select my data, and let's say I want the fifth smallest salary. It will then give me that information. So it's nice and quick ways to get to this information rather than having to sort and filter your data. The last part of our statistical functions training module you will find on the last spreadsheet in our workbook statistical functions called count. Now there are quite a few count functions for us to choose from. So the first one is a standard count function. So if you look at the definition of the count function in Excel, it will count the number of cells in a range that contain numbers, and numbers only. So for example, in this particular range of cells, I've got letters and numbers. It will count only the data with numbers and tell me how many occurrences there are. Whereas count A is a little bit different, and basically what count A does, it counts the numbers of cells in a range that are not empty. So it will count everything, numbers, letters, as long as there's no blanks, it will count everything. So from there you can basically decide then how many are letters by doing a calculation that basically says count A of this range of data less count of this range of data. So it's basically taking count everything and then deduct only the numbers, and that'll give you how many letters are in your count range. Also, which is quite useful, is a function called count blank. So for example, in my spreadsheet here with my employees, I've got a whole lot of benefits, but some employees do not have these benefits in place. So I'd like to find out how many employees do not have benefits. And by doing that, I can count only the blank cells. So you start by typing in count. You can double click or tab on the count blank. Now for the purpose of this, you cannot select the column. The reason for this is it'll select the entire column D, which obviously has a lot of blank rows. So for this case, you would have to select the top cell, Control Shift and the down arrow, and you'll have to keep doing that until you get to the bottom range of your data. To make sure you've selected all your data. This will now tell me that I have got 5 employees that have got no benefits. And let's go back and test the theory. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those are your 3 most commonly used count functions.